morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this second day of, first day of the second month. Yes, first February, and of course, this February is a very special one. It has got some very special features about it. We'll talk about that in the coming shows as well, and see if we can find out what's so special about this February. And right now, moving on, let's go to the news for today, and then we'll also have the Daily India report. So Australia is mending defence ties with France.
In the City of Love, they're getting friendly again.
France, we are deeply invested too in this relationship.
A country dumped as Australia's future submarine partner, now an ally in another military effort.
Australia and France do stand together in support of Ukraine in the face of this Russian aggression.
After 2+2 talks in Paris, ministers unveiled a joint initiative to produce several thousand artillery shells for a country in need.
With a novel partnership between Australia and France.
While France has declared the relationship fully repaired after Australia's AUKUS surprise, concerns continue to emerge in the United States over its submarine industrial base.
Welcome to Puget Sound Naval Shipyard.
The US Navy has abruptly suspended submarine work at 4 dry docks on the west coast because of the risk of earthquake activity, raising fresh doubts over the country's ability to help Australia acquire its own nuclear-powered boats.
The discussions in AUKUS are proceeding. They're proceeding in a positive manner.
The makeup of Australia's future nuclear submarine fleet is due to be revealed at the end of March, along with how this country intends to fill a capability gap when the ageing Collins-class boats retire. But as submarine headaches surface in the United States, the scale of that challenge is becoming clearer. Andrew.
It is becoming clearer, but are we closer to getting a resolution out of that? I don't think so. Well, right now, let's move on to policing, and which is getting ever so hard every day. But women at the helm of the New South Wales Police say that, in policing, we also need gender equality.
New South Wales Police Commissioner Karen Webb started in the force 35 years ago.
I was 1 in 10 females in the organisation. I didn't see gender and I just did my job.
Since then, the proportion has increased to 27%. But the Commissioner, who's broken ground as the first woman to serve in the role, would like to see it higher.
And I would want my organisation, the New South Wales Police Force, to be representative of the community we serve, which would be about 50% female.
You should be a cop if you're ready to change your life.
A recruitment drive currently underway has women in its sights, but a 50-50 split remains a long way off.
Won't see parity in my lifetime because we've got such a big workforce, so I can't recruit enough women, even if I did 100% classes of women.
Protecting women in the community is also a big focus, especially those who are victims of assault. A week-long operation targeting high-risk domestic violence offenders this month resulted in nearly 650 arrests. And a new online reporting portal for sexual assault has led to a spike in survivors coming forward.
I'm pleased that there's an increase in reporting because that says to me that victims are happy to report to police. But I do worry that it is underreported and we need to find ways to make it easier for victims to report.
Karen Webb will mark 1 year in her role as Commissioner tomorrow. Ruby Cornish, ABC News.
Well done, Commissioner, and keep up that wonderful work as well, especially in the domestic violence scene as well. That online reporting portal is very welcome. Well, right now, it's still on international relations. Penny Wong urges Britain to comfort its colonial past, and we've all come back from that colonial era.
He was talking about the importance of understanding our past, not just Britain, but Australia too, and everybody, really. And one of the main themes that Penny Wong talked about at King's College tonight was that she'd been to 24 Indo-Pacific nations in the first 6 months of her time as Foreign Minister. She talked about how important it was to listen, not to lecture when visiting these nations, and she said that Australia had probably done the opposite in recent times. So she was pointing the finger at Australia too, accusing it of lecturing some of these nations in the past. And yes, she did draw on her own family history. She talked about her father's side of the family, how they knew very much had a lived experience of colonisation. She talked about how members of her family laboured in tin mines, on plantations, worked as servants for British colonials. And here's what she said about this at King's College tonight.
My father is descended from Hakka and Cantonese Chinese. Many from these clans laboured in the British North Borneo Company, in tin mines and plantations for tobacco and timber. Many worked as domestic servants for British colonists, as did my own grandmother. Sometimes such stories can feel uncomfortable for those whose stories they are and for those who hear them. But understanding the past enables us to better share the present and the future. It gives us the opportunity to find more common ground than if we stay sheltered in narrower versions of our country's histories.
Very direct words indeed from the Foreign Minister there, Steve. Now, after the speech, Penny Wong also announced new sanctions against both Myanmar and Iran.
That's right. In relation to Myanmar, involving 16 individuals involved there in the military dictatorship, for human rights abuses. And Michael, these are really Magnitsky-style sanctions. The Magnitsky Act is something that's an act in many countries. It originated from an American-British financier, Bill Browder, whose accountant, Sergei Magnitsky, was exposing corruption in Russia. And the idea was that you target individuals to stop them spending their wealth abroad. So these are financial bans, financial sanctions and travel bans involving the military junta in Myanmar. Also in relation to Iran, they target certain individuals and entities in Iran, including those involved in producing these drones that are being exported to Russia and used to target civilian population and also civilian infrastructure. I asked Penny Wong a question at the press conference, actually, why they didn't prescribe the Iranian Revolutionary Guard as a terrorist organisation. That is something that both the EU and the Brits are considering at the moment. There are legal hurdles to doing this kind of thing, and that seems to be where it's blocked at the moment. It seems like they've had legal advice, the Australian government, not to go that far, but they've certainly pushed for sanctions in Iran. Here's what Penny Wong said a short time ago at a press conference.
Sanctions will rarely be our first choice. We have looked to support the work of ASEAN and work with others to put pressure on the regime, including through the United Nations. But it is ultimately about making the best judgment we can about the right approach at the right time. My judgment is that the time has come for sanctions.
So, Michael, it's been a big week for Penny Wong and also the Deputy Prime Minister Richard Marles. They've been in Paris and Brussels, now London. Tomorrow, heading to southern England, where they'll be having a bit of a look at some of the training that's been going on with members of the ADF, of Ukrainian soldiers.
So there you are, ladies and gentlemen, up to date on Australian Indian Radio. And hey, it's good to have your company. Well, right now it's time to go to our daily India report.
Welcome to the Daily India Report that brings you reports, interviews, features and more on India and the Indian diaspora. The budget session 2023 of the Indian Parliament began on January 31 with a joint sitting addressed by the Indian President Mrs. Draupadi Murmu. The budget session of the Indian Parliament began with the ceremonial address by President Draupadi Murmu for members of both the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha in the Central Hall. The economic survey was also tabled in both houses on the first day of the session. The Union Budget 2023 to 2024 will be presented on February 1st. The budget session will continue till the 6th of April 2023. It will have 27 sittings spread over 66 days. The first part of the session will continue till the 13th of February. There will be a recess from the 14th of February to the 12th of March to enable the department-related parliamentary standing committees to examine the demands for grants and make reports relating to their ministries and departments. The second part of the budget session will begin on 13th of March and continue till the 6th of April. Ahead of the budget session of Parliament, an all-party meeting was held at Parliament House complex on January 30th. The meeting convened by the Modi government was attended by union ministers. The government sought cooperation from all political parties to ensure the smooth functioning of the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha. NCP Chief Sharad Pawar, Sudeep Bandyopadhyay of TMC, Ilhama Ram Karim of CPI-M, Priyanka Chaturvedi of Shiv Sena, UBT, Manoj Jha of RJD, Sanjay Singh of AAP, BRS MP K. Keshava Rao and BJD leader Sasmat Patra were among those who attended the meeting. Talking to the media after the meeting, Parliamentary Affairs Minister Prahlad Joshi said the government is ready for discussion on any issue in Parliament as per rules and procedures. Indian External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar held a meeting with the current President of the United Nations General Assembly, Saba Korosi, and discussed global challenges, UN reforms, the Ukraine conflict, and the G20 agenda. Indian External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar on January 30 met the President of the 77th session of the United Nations General Assembly, Saba Korosi, in New Delhi. In a tweet, Jaishankar said, during the meeting they discussed global challenges, UN reforms, the Ukraine conflict, and the G20 agenda. He assured Korosi of India's full support in developmental progress and reform multilateralism. Korosi arrived in New Delhi on January 30th on a 3-day visit. Whether students studying abroad or those who have immigrated to other countries, the Indian diaspora always likes to connect back to their motherland. PIO TV interviewed a few of the diaspora members at the Pravasi Bharatiya Divas held in Indore.
PBD 2023 presented a great opportunity for the Indian diaspora to physically visit the motherland. The Indian government was also eager to interact directly with the diaspora after a long wait. Diaspora members contributed wholeheartedly during the fight against COVID-19 pandemic, whether in their country of residence or by sending aid to their motherland. The emotional connect with their motherland brought them back to India as soon as the opportunity presented itself in the form of the Pravasi Bharatiya Divas. PIO Chamber of Commerce and Industry is a unique and largest of its kind platform that conjugates the Indian diaspora amongst themselves and with the central, state governments and businesses in India.
इंडिया में हमारे जो फीलिंग है, इंडियन के लिए जो हमारे फीलिंग है बहुत बड़ा है, क्योंकि हमारे रूट्स जो है ना वो इंडिया ही से जुड़े हुए हैं। और हम जब इंडिया में हैं तो आप लोगों को भी देखकर, इतने लोगों को देखकर ऐसा नहीं लग रहा कि हम भारत में हैं, लग रहा है कि हम जैसे मॉरिशस की में है। जो अपने भाई बहन मॉरिशस में होते हैं ऐसे ही भाई बहन लोग हमारे यहाँ पर सामने में है, तो खुशी, बहुत सी खुशी है हमको।
Cold conditions intensified in the national capital region due to intermittent rainfall in the region. Dense fog once again covered the morning skies of the national capital Delhi, after moderate rainfall brought the mercury down once again. India Meteorological Department explained that the western disturbance's long active tail full of thunderstorms combined with huge moisture incursion and interesting topology is causing the stain of long thunderstorms. The Delhi NCR region and its adjoining areas, as well as several places in Haryana, Uttar Pradesh and Rajasthan states were predicted to experience thunderstorms with light to moderate rain. The cold conditions in the national capital intensified following the rainfall. The city witnessed intermittent light to moderate rainfall since January 29 morning, which continued on January 30. IMD attributed the rain to a western disturbance influencing northwest India and forecast that mainly clear skies and strong winds are now expected in Delhi in the next 3 days. The western disturbance's long active tail is full of thunderstorms. Huge moisture incursion from seas, convergence and interesting topology is helping this chain of long thunderstorms. Moisture is hitting the mountain tops of Aravalli. The chain expands from the South Rajasthan to Delhi region. With rising income levels of Indian families and easier availability of loans, Tier 2 and Tier 3 universities across the world are attracting more Indian students than ever before. Student visas are becoming lucrative with a big spike in the volume of applicants from India. And with heavy competition for seats, Indian college aspirants are seen to apply for and take admission in Tier 2 and Tier 3 universities abroad. The second-tier schools are easier to get into as compared to the Ivy League universities such as Harvard, Columbia, Cornell and Brown, and other top-tier colleges such as MIT, Stanford and California Institute of Technology that have admission acceptance rates of less than 7%. They are also comparatively more affordable and with decent placement opportunities after graduation. With India set to become the most populous country soon, India's growing middle class means that there are now more college-age students looking for a high-quality education abroad. Students are looking at other well-known universities such as the University of Texas at Austin, UCLA, Purdue, and Duke University. The increase in the number of undergraduate foreign degree seekers in the last couple of years is driven by rising income levels of families, easier availability of loans and more awareness about foreign education in small cities and towns. A few years back, Indian students would not apply to Tier 2 universities and would always try for the top-ranked universities. But with competition going through the roof, the similarly profiled students are willing to apply to the next best programs. The US continues to be the most popular destination, followed by the UK, Canada, Australia, Singapore and European countries like Germany, Belgium, Netherlands and France. The most popular streams among Indians are computer science, business studies and science, technology, engineering and mathematics related disciplines such as AI, data science and cyber security. Bollywood King Khan, Shah Rukh Khan reigns supreme at the box office with his comeback film Pathaan, continuing to break records at the box office. SRK has proved his dominance of the Indian celluloid screens.
Shah Rukh Khan's starrer Pathaan has continued to create new box office records as it became the fastest film to enter the 300 crore club within 4 days and has collected more than 572 crores internationally. On January 30th, Pathaan earned 25 crore at the box office, taking the total of 6 days collection to 305 crore in India alone. The film made 57 crores on the opening day in India, 70.5 crores on the second day, 39.25 crores on the third day, and 55.75 crores on January 29th, the fourth day. The slight dip on the third day was attributed to being the first working day after 26 January, a national holiday in India. The worldwide collection showed Pathaan pocketing 572.5 crore in 6 days, including 305 crores in domestic collections and 265 crores overseas. It became the fastest Hindi film to beat the 500 crore mark within this span of time. Pathaan has already smashed the box office records of KGF 2 and Bahubali 2 in terms of its collection for the first 3 days of its release. The film's unprecedented success assumes significance given that it had faced widespread calls for a boycott by India's Hindutva brigade. Shah Rukh's friend, producer-director Karan Johar wrote an emotional social media post saying that Shah Rukh had gone nowhere, but the king was merely waiting for the right time to rule. On January 30th, Shah Rukh Khan, with Deepika Padukone and John Abraham, finally addressed the media and celebrated the success of their film with them. SRK talked about feeling terrible when his films fail and also thanked the film's director Siddharth Anand for giving him and his family happiness with Pathaan.
That's all for this bulletin of the Daily India Report.
Thank you very much, Simran. So yesterday we missed you and Chandrakala Chowdhury as well. Well, ladies and gentlemen, as I mentioned, that's about all we have for you today in this segment. And don't forget that at 10 a.m. we have the weekly real estate update with Ushi Chandra. Until then, it's goodbye.